Good morning, beloveds. All right. This is the day before Thanksgiving. And our title is Give Thanks for All Things. Did I say it was November 23rd? It is November 23rd. All right. The first quote is, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks." And that is Thessalonians 5:16 and 8 through 18. I give thanks that I am divine and that I know my divinity. And that is Science of Mind, page 251. One of the most powerful attitudes that anyone on the spiritual path can express is that of gratitude. Essentially, there are two times to be thankful: when things are going well and when they are not going well. In the former case, it's easy to be thankful. Why wouldn't we when everything is going our way? It is in the midst of adversity that it becomes most difficult to be grateful. And yet it is during these times that we are called most to praise God. The scriptural reason for giving thanks comes from Romans 8:28, where Paul states that all things work together for good to those that love God. If this is true, then all experiences and circumstances in our lives can only bring us closer to truth. Ultimately, everything serves to further good, and therefore everything is a blessing. Although giving thanks is a simple principle to accept, it is far more difficult to apply in our lives, especially when we are suffering. Yet a spiritual law tells us that every adversity contains the seeds of an equivalent or greater good. A person loses their job only to subsequently receive a better offer from a new company. Another person loses a loved one and meets somebody just as wonderful. When we begin to live a life of praise and gratitude, a transformation occurs. When we bless a situation for being the way it is, the situation itself begins to change. Such is the miraculous power of giving thanks. All things are working together for good in my life, and I give thanks for all that I experience. And that is DB, Douglas Bloch. I see where he's coming from, but I'm going to give that a caveat, because I have had some really awful experiences that I would not wish on anybody. And now, and here's where it's a caveat. I wouldn't be who I am now if I hadn't had those experiences. But going through them, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So, sometimes when I read these writers and I get through it and I'm going, yeah, you're definitely a man. So, because there are experiences that women have that we're like, how are we supposed to see the seeds of greatness in this experience? So I will acknowledge that as a woman. But as I said, there are a number of experiences that I've had that I wouldn't be who I was if I hadn't had those experiences. So what he is reminding us to do is that when things are really awful, and that's one of the things that I've kind of leaned into with look for the good in a situation, because you can definitely use that as a spiritual bypass. Look for the good in the situation. Okay, let's ignore the mess that is going on around us, and just look for the good. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. So it's the same thing here. When we're in the midst of a messy situation, we know that there's good in the situation because we are there. We bring the good with us. And that's the same thing here. It's like, okay, when we're in the midst of a messy situation, then one of the things that we can be grateful for is knowing who we are. If we know that we are divine sparks, if we know that we are godlings, if we know that we are connected to an infinite source of love, kindness, compassion, all that other stuff, then it means that we have everything we need to get through the situation we are having right now, even if it is completely and totally non-preferred. All right. And so that's what, when you hear things like that, give thanks in all situations, that's what we can lean into. We can lean into the fact that that we know who we are. And yeah, right now things look pretty awful, but I have everything I need to get through it within me because I am connected to an infinite source. All right. And so that's where we start. That's where we start with the gratitude. It's like, I know who I am. I know whose child I am. I know that I have everything I need within me to get through this situation. And I am grateful for this knowledge. And once I start there, then I can move into, and that right there is enough to go, it makes me stand up straighter. Hopefully it makes you stand up, but it makes me stand up straighter. And then I can go, and then I can start looking at what I can handle. It's like, all right, what can I do? What can I do about this situation? Then I can start moving into, and then I can get myself out of the situation. And that is how gratitude can work. Yes, when things are going well, it's easy to be grateful. When things aren't going well, how do we lean into that gratitude? Well, that's how we start, by knowing who we are, by knowing that we have within us access to an infinite source that will give us what we need to get through, that will give us what we need to handle the situation, that will give us the guidance and all that other. And that's how we lean into gratitude in adversity. All right. I love what he says, but let me give you the straight up stepping stones. How do we do this? And I do that because, like I said, I am a woman, and there are situations that I have been in that I am like, how am I going to bless this situation? And there are experiences that I have had. How am I going to bless this situation? Well, I have survived 100% of them, and that's where I can start. Okay. So, as we move through the holiday season, because he said, we've lost a loved one, and then we found somebody who was more wonderful, and I'm like, that, okay. So, but one of the things that he is saying, if you lose a job and then you get a better job, you lose a loved one and you meet someone new. Sometimes what he's reminding us is sometimes we need to make room in our life for something new. All right. It sounds harsh. It sounded harsh when I read it. But that's what I'm reminded of. Sometimes we need to make room in our life for something new. And we can't have new if we're holding on to the old. So, I wanted to lean into that, and let's not spiritual bypass this kind of work. Let's not spiritual bypass. If you're in the middle of a mess, I don't want to spiritual bypass that. I want to, if I'm in the middle of a mess, I'm going to look at the mess. But the first thing I'm going to do is remember who I am, remember who I come from, remember what I have access to, be grateful for that. And then I'm going to deal with the mess. Okay. So looking for the good is not about a spiritual bypass. I don't ever want anybody to think that. We are science of mind. We are not crazy. It's like we live in this material world. We are not airy-fairy. We know that there's work to do, and we are going to do the work. But the first thing that we are going to do before we even set out to do the work is we are going to know who we are. We are going to consciously connect to the source of our own being and accept that guidance. And then we are going to move forward, and we are going to take it, and we are going to deal with it, and we're going to get through it. All right. The holidays can be a challenge for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And I want you to know that we are here for you for the holidays. One, we are going to continue to provide content the way we have been. And we're a safe place to come for the holidays. Okay. All right. I think I've said what I wanted to say. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, the mission today was gratitude. And I have given you concrete steps on how to be grateful in messy situations. So the mission today, should you choose to accept it, is to find that way to be grateful in messy situations, to help you move forward and get the work done to get out of the messy situation. Okay? That's the mission. And I've given you the steps. And one of them is to start with who you are. All right? And who are you? A beloved child of God. You are a godling. You are a divine spark. You are a divine, spirit. You are a bright light. And you got this. And you're not alone. All right. And which leads into the other thing which I suggest, which is the spiritual practice of doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself. Which, again, starts with knowing who you are. And that's one of the reasons why I lean into suggesting taking a deep breath. Why I remind you to do this. It is a spiritual practice, and it can look like meditation, but it can also look like a nap. One of my teachers would talk about taking a nap, and she would call it a napitation. It's like you start with a meditation, you end up in a nap. That's what you needed, So don't ever beat yourself up for falling asleep while you're doing a meditation. Okay, you might have needed that nap. It also looks like taking a walk. It looks like reading a good book. It looks like drinking a cup of coffee and really savoring it. What are you talking about? Spending some time cuddling with fur babies, calling a good friend, and all of that. So practice. Practice makes permanent. I'm talking about, if we do this practice every day where we create that habit, we create that first response, we create that default setting, so that no matter what happens, especially when we walk into messy situations, our first response is loving, kind, and compassionate to everybody involved in this situation, including ourselves. We are our best test subject, what? Is your heating pad not working? We are the best person to practice on. All right. Oh, no, you have to give me that back without ripping holes. Come on. The cat has my hand. Okay. You are very distracting this morning. All right. So, all the other things that I usually suggest, do something to engage your mind and your body today. I bundled up and went for a bike ride. Get that early in your day bright light. That will help to reset those circadian rhythms. Drink plenty of water. It's actually extra important during the winter to make sure that you're drinking plenty of fluids, because with the heat running and what have you, and you don't want to drink cold, and you can get a little dehydrated. The brain works better when it's hydrated, so drink plenty of water. And then Ernest Holmes' words: open the windows of your soul, allow the breath of heaven to remind you do live in heaven right here, right now. Because it's a state of mind. It's a state of consciousness. It means that when we walk into those adversities, when we walk into that chaotic mess, we bring the power to create heaven with us, because it comes from within. State of mind, state of consciousness. It is about consciously connecting with the source of our own being. That's what opening the windows of our soul means. It is that spiritual practice of consciously connecting with the source of our own being, whatever that looks like. And I like the imagery because I like it when you, in the springtime or in the fall, when you throw open those windows and you just get that light breeze that tickles across your arms and your face. That's what I'm talking about. And you can always take Emma's advice, which is to look for the good and praise it. You want to create heaven on earth? It's about looking for the good, finding it, and proclaiming it. All right. Proclaiming it and claiming it. So there is all of that. I think I'm at the social media part where I remind you we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. And I've got a really good one. I'm just going to have to go find it. That I liked that I saw this morning. Thankfully, Reverend Kathy posted it, so I'll go get it. And share it across the social medias. So, and if you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. Honestly, we're already talking about the Christmas Eve service. So, there's that. That way you can get on the constant contact. The hot links are hot. They'll take you right where you want to know. And you will know what's going on in the center when I don't, because I've been there in 2 Sundays. I do read the emails though, so, Okay. Here's where I get to remind you and encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day. Last day to get the stuff that you need, even though the grocery stores will be open tomorrow morning. For whatever you're doing for Thanksgiving. We are going to have a stripped down Thanksgiving, and we're not even making turkey. There will be bacon though. So whatever your Thanksgiving plans are, take care of that. Have a magical day, an enchanting day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a wild day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day, because it's enough. You are enough just as you are. You're a beloved child of God. You are a divine spark, a bright light, a godling in whom God is well pleased and well represented. All right. Yeah. So tomorrow is Thursday. I will be on, but I'm not sure if I'll be, it may be closer to 10. I'm going to go to the park, provided it's not raining. I'm also taking care of a friend's cats. So we're probably going to go from the park to do that. So I will do this, but it may be a little later. But I'll get it done. All right. I think that's what I know. So Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. Like I said, I will be back with you tomorrow. It may not be 9 a.m. And then again, it may be, who knows? It's cooler. So if I get up in the morning and do this first and then go to the park, there's that. So take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.